So in this video, I'm going to show you guys the mechanical quadruped rig that I made in MotionBuilder for this quadruped vehicle. This is the main player vehicle in an indie video game I'm working on. There's a lot of animations, so this thing can run and walk and crawl and climb up surfaces. Melee attacks, obviously it can shoot missiles, and I really wanted it to have a very mechanical look, but an organic sort of animation set, something like an insect or a predator animal. And the vast array of animations that we need for this vehicle really required it to have a nice rig here in MotionBuilder that any animator would be familiar with. And the model is made so that it has some really believable hips. I think that in normal mech, especially quadruped and biped design, a lot of times the mechs have some hips that don't make sense mechanically, or they hide them under some armor plating, or they use some wimpy little ball joint. And it's rare that you see a mech that looks like it could actually support all the weight it's supposed to be carrying around. And especially on this vehicle, I wanted it to have a nice big heavy looking reactor core and missile battery, so I wanted to make sure to give it some mechanical glutes that really looked like it could support all this weight, which made it a real challenge. This rig was actually ended up being a lot more challenging than I expected. I had to go back to the drawing board several times. But basically there is some motor driven joints here that can rotate, and then a universal joint driven by what will be a belt drive that goes in here, and then pistons to move the rest of the joints. But the rig came out nice after all. It actually moves around like you would see all of the components and the pieces move, the pistons work, and this joint actually behaves correctly when you move it around. And it even has the full body IK rig that you would expect any normal character to have. So this rig is actually very animator friendly, and now that it's at this point, I've actually made a lot of the animations, which hopefully I can show you in a later video, but I wanted to talk a little bit about how I got this rig to work. So it has, let me see here, so you can see there's basically two skeletons here. The white is the skeleton that all of the hard surfaces are parented to. There's actually no skinned weights on this model. They're all just constrained or parented to these white joints that follow every piece. And then the green is an extra skeleton that is made specifically for MotionBuilder. So when I export this animation set, I won't use the green skeleton. I will only export the white skeleton. But here in MotionBuilder, when I do things like manipulate all these extra constraints for like this extra knee joint, for example, you can see, or pull it around by the character control rig in MotionBuilder, all of these joints are constrained. So the real key to actually getting these hips and other joints to work correctly, I found in a video tutorial by Jamie Telford when he was talking about making making a spider leg rig. And I'll put, if you're watching this on YouTube, the link is in the description. But the way it works is basically that this joint here has all 3 degrees of freedom. And it is parented directly to this, the left leg root here. And then there's an extra little rig just for the let's see here, this would be the x-axis, and then the uni joint is the y and the z-axis. And that might sound straightforward, but you'll see that if you just try and constrain joints like this on 2 axes or 1 axis, there's all kinds of issues with flipping and gimbal lock and everything else, especially if they're actually part of the joint chain. So these 2 pieces that actually only have a limited amount of freedom in terms of the axes that it can rotate on, they are not part of the parent or the whole joint chain. This is actually just a sibling of the rest of the leg. And then of course there's this extra knee joint for added mobility and moving the knee and this big claw around so that it looks like it's has this extra bit of give when it's walking. It actually ended up being really handy in making some convincing weight in the walk and run cycles. But you can see that this character moves around just like they would in anything. I actually started with a lot of different quadruped FKIK definitions, and I ended up going with a biped because the biped actually worked a lot better. The T-pose for this guy actually looks like this. So it actually looks more like a person's T-pose than a quadruped where these front arms would go down. And you can see that this is the shoulder joint, and then the elbow and the hand, the finger here. And then there's extra for these extra little digits down here that can move around. These skeleton joints along the arm here are all perpendicular to the uni joint that I was talking about earlier, and that's because this whole joint chain after this uni joint only rotates on 1 axis. So it doesn't matter that these are offset like this, and it actually makes grabbing the controls and stuff easier. But the main thing is I really needed the arm joints, or at least the controls, to follow the MotionBuilder controller. So that's it for this video. I will show you guys some animations here. Hopefully I can show you how this rig came out sometime soon. Thanks for watching.